What did you find when you started to dig into this trucking company?
This is a very egregious group of violations.
Pulling data straight from the Federal Motor Safety Carrier Administration, Lewis pointed out 80 plus violations over 2 years against Whitehawk that led the DOT to downgrade its credentials the very day of the crash.
What's going on, good and wonderful people? It's Sage here back with another banger today. So if you guys see me looking over to the side, it's because I actually have to watch my audio because it keeps going in and out and I keep having to reshoot this video and it's getting pretty annoying. But yes, I'm sure everybody is familiar with the truck driver Harjinder Singh, and for those of you who are not familiar, he's basically that truck driver that was responsible for making that illegal U-turn on that Florida highway, and tragically 3 people lost their lives because a minivan collided with his trailer. So yeah, due to YouTube's guidelines, I can't actually show the uncensored version of the video. If you guys are interested in watching it, it's viral. It's a very viral story. It's all over the internet. If you look for it, you'll find it. But yes, the victims involved in the incident, their names have not been identified, but of course, thoughts and prayers go out to the family and friends of the victims involved. The accident is 100% preventable, and due to the severity of it, the truck driver is actually charged with vehicular homicide. The truck driver's illegal migration status is actually a point of scrutiny, and the fact that he lacks English language proficiency. Yeah, so all of these things combined, it's garnered national attention. And I actually covered a story a couple months ago out of Chicago, Illinois, where all the foreign Chicagoland Russian-speaking trucking companies are. Well, one of the CEOs by the name of Gala Galashevy, he pretty much made a video pretty much criticizing the Trump administration and their policies in regards to migration and how it affects his trucking company and other Russian-speaking trucking companies in that area. So let's just recap what he said.
The era of Russian-speaking trucking companies has come to an end. The current president of America has done and continues to do everything possible to bring us all to the edge of a precipice. It's no secret that over the past 4 or 5 years, all our Eastern European and Central Asian trucking companies have been developing very actively, expanding rapidly, and growing not just by a few percent per year, but by multiples. The open Mexican border, which allowed people to enter and immediately apply for political asylum, and after 180 days, obtain a work permit, get a CDL, and start driving a truck. But starting from August 2024, which is about 10 months ago, Ukrainians stopped being admitted under the U4U program, and eventually the program was completely shut down. So for 10 months, Ukrainians have not been entering the American labor market. Starting in December, the Mexican border was restricted, and by February it was completely closed. And other nationalities like Georgians, Belarusians, Russians, Kazakhs, Uzbeks also stopped coming through the Mexican border to seek political asylum, and consequently are no longer expected to join the ranks of truck drivers in trucking companies.
So yes, guys, you saw that, you heard that. Now, he was actually on the right track when he said how this current administration, their policies, and how, they're going to impact trucking companies. Now, it wasn't just the Russian-speaking trucking companies. It's actually all foreign trucking companies. And in fact, Secretary of State Marco Rubio issued out this statement.
Deadly Florida crash allegedly caused by an illegal immigrant who was granted a commercial driver's license in both California and Washington state. Secretary Rubio posted this on X saying, effective immediately, we are pausing all issuance of worker visas for commercial truck drivers. The increasing number of foreign drivers operating large tractor trailer trucks on U.S. roads is endangering American lives and undercutting the livelihoods of American truckers.
So yes, guys, that's actually a pretty bombshell announcement that he announced a couple days ago. There's currently a freeze, a pause on work visas for foreign truck drivers. And the reasons why is because of that incident out of Florida. And not only that incident, it was actually several incidents prior to it involving foreign truck drivers that have led to this policy being implemented. Now, it is temporary to my knowledge, but I don't know. If it's a thing that lasts the entire Trump presidency, I mean, all it's going to take is another Democrat administration to override this policy. So maybe it's temporary, maybe it's permanent. only time will tell. But of course, this announcement was met with mixed reactions, especially considering that this country is pretty divided, especially on the topic of mass migration, whether it be legal or illegal. Now, the truck driver in question, Harjinder Singh, he entered the country illegally in 2018. Mind you, all this is under Trump's first administration. He applied for work authorization, but he was ultimately denied, and he was actually set to be deported, but he was able to avoid deportation altogether because in 2021, Joe Biden took office, and he was able to grant the driver residency, or I don't know if it still wasn't lawful, but he was allowed to stay in the United States under Biden's presidency, but still he had no legal right to be here. So immediately questions started to rise. How was he able to get a CDL? Well, he was actually issued a CDL out of the state of Washington, and eventually he was able to get that turned into a non-domicile CDL out of California. Not sure how he was able to do it legally because he was here illegally. But before I touch on that, I do want to say this. It's very, very hard for American truck drivers to get a CDL. And if American truck drivers F up, if they have an incident, if they, or even if they're a SAP driver, for example, they're not shown as much grace, it seems like, as foreign truck drivers. And this is just an observation that I'm making. This is just my opinion. Feel free to disagree, but this is just basically what I'm observing. Because, and if you guys don't know what a SAP driver is, it's basically a driver that's failed a drug test, an alcohol drug test. These truck drivers have a very hard time finding employment, and the trucking companies that are known to give second chances, like Sweet Express, they even have quotas for these truck drivers. So not every truck driver can actually work for Sweet Express if they're a SAP driver and ultimately be able to finish their SAP program. And another example of how hard it is for American truck drivers out here once we do get our CDLs is accidents. So if you have, a number of things on your DAC report, for example, it's going to be very hard for you to seek employment. And I also should mention this. This goes back to what I'm saying. It seems like these drivers have no issues seeking employment. This TikTok user, he's a pretty popular TikTok user in the trucking space, but I can't think of his name. I'm sorry. But he basically made a video talking about how he went undercover and he pretty much faked an Indian accent on the phone with one of these trucking company owners, and that's how he was able to get employment, because the main question that they ask is if you're American, because apparently a company operating in America is not hiring American truck drivers. They're hiring foreign truck drivers. Now, I'm under the impression that, if you run a business in America, you have to abide by laws. And among the laws are actually anti-discrimination laws. And it seems like they can get away with discriminating against Americans, but that's just something I should really point out. But this is actually pretty fascinating. So I just wanted to share this with you guys. So just take a look for yourselves.
I recently went undercover posing as a non-domicile, non-English speaking driver with zero experience to see just how easy and quick it would be to obtain a truck driving job in America. Now, the first thing I did is I went and I created a fake Facebook account, and then I typed in trucking jobs. And there's tons of Facebook groups just like the one right there that pop up. You join the groups, and right out of the gate, there's hundreds of posts like this right here. Assalamu alaikum, need Amazon drivers. Now, these Facebook groups are very, I guess you could say, utilitarian, because not only can you find these obscure non-domicile jobs, but you can also browse for active MC numbers with Amazon accounts already attached to them, so that you can just buy the MC number from somebody else, duct tape it to the side of your truck, and you're good to go. There's a whole black market on these Facebook groups selling MC numbers with active accounts. So have you screwed your MC number up as a driver went out and killed somebody under your MC number? That's okay. Just get on this Facebook group and you can buy another one, print it off, and duct tape it to your door, and then show up at Amazon, and you can still haul their freight for them. Perhaps even you're looking to sell an MC number with an active Amazon account. You can do that also. Now, moving forward with the process, we're about 5 minutes in now. I reached out via text message to this phone number right here. I simply said, "Are you still hiring for Amazon driver?" A short time later, I got a phone call, and that phone call was a guy who I personally could barely understand. I was trying to emulate an accent the best that I could to remain cloaked, and And the very first question they asked, which was the deciding factor if they would hire me, was, where are you from originally? I couldn't say I was from America, so I lied, and I said that I was from India. They then took my information, and I got a phone call back shortly thereafter, and it was a 3-minute phone call with the guy who was sort of the head honcho over the entire operation, who told me it was totally okay that I don't have experience, that's not going to be an issue at all, and that they would be happy to put me behind the wheel of a truck, regardless of circumstances.
Now, here's the thing. I realize now that this is not actually true, but what I was going to say was how this truck driver, despite having a prior accident, he was still able to operate a commercial motor vehicle. He never got his license suspended, but I realize now it's not the same Harjinder Singh. So apparently there are content creators that have said that the same truck driver involved in that Florida turnpike incident is also involved in a 2019 accident involving a bridge collapsing. Yeah, so a truck driver by the name of Harjinder Singh, who was also based out of California. Yeah, so he drove over a bridge that had a 6-ton weight limit, and the bridge ultimately collapsed. This was out of Arkansas, if I didn't already mention that. But yeah, I wish that would have been so ironic if that was the same truck driver, but turns out they just had the same name. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there in case you guys have heard that too on YouTube. It's misinformation. It's not true. But what is true is the fact that prior to the accident out of Florida, he was actually given an English language proficiency test. Now, this English language proficiency test is something that was being enforced by the Trump administration. June of 2025, if you are found to not be proficient in the English language, you will be placed out of service, or at least you're supposed to be placed out of service. This truck driver, he only was able to get 2 out of the 12 questions correct. So yeah, obviously that's a failing grade, and yet he was still able to operate the commercial motor vehicle. So it appears that enforcement is lacking. And this is just my opinion. He came in the United States in 2018, so he was in the United States for 7 years. Now, he had 7 years to learn English, essentially assimilate to American society, but he didn't do that. And because of this incident with his U-turn and apparently him being implicated in that 2019 accident and apparently it not being the same person, it makes you wonder, so he wasn't willing to assimilate when it came to learning English. Also seems like he's not willing to adapt American driving culture. Now, I may get some criticism for saying this, but Indian driving culture is very dangerous. Indians are ranked among the worst drivers in the world. And if you guys are unfamiliar with this travel vlogger by the name of Bald and Bankrupt, he pretty much visited India and he made a video about it. So let's just take a look at how these people drive over there.
It's too hectic to walk here and my throat hurts from the pollution. So I've jumped on the back of a cycle rickshaw.
But yeah, guys, you saw that, you heard that. So he actually exposes just how dangerous the roads in India are. And I'm sorry if the video was hard to watch, but as you guys can see, noise pollution is an issue there because of all the honking and all the congestion on the roads. And like I said, India is ranked among the worst, Indian roads are ranked among the most dangerous in the world due to poor infrastructure, due to poor driver training, poor driver habits, lack of driver etiquette. And in my opinion, it seems that law enforcement is incompetent. So despite everything we know, he's here illegally, he couldn't get work authorization, somehow he was able to get a CDL despite not legally being able to do so. There's still people out there rooting for this guy. There are people out there supporting him. There is a petition signed by 2.2 million people at the time of me making this video. It has 2.2 million signatures. And basically, they don't think that he deserves 45 years in prison. Literally insanity. So let's just take a look at this together. So the petition reads, "This was a tragic incident, not a deliberate act. While accountability matters, the severity of the charges against him do not align with the circumstances of the incident." Now, I'm not sure which is worse, the people who created that petition or the people who signed that petition. I'm not sure why they thought that this is even going to change anything, considering how severe this accident is and how many laws this truck driver broke. prior to the accident, but hey, do you guys agree with them? I don't see anybody agreeing with this at all, at least if you follow my channel, but let me know what you guys think. Does he deserve a 45-year prison sentence for making an illegal U-turn and unfortunately taking out the lives of 3 people? Let me know in the comments down below. You guys are the greatest. Thank you so much for following my channel, supporting my channel. And if you enjoy content like this, as always, hit the like button, comment, rate, share, and subscribe. I am Taja Ellison, and I will see you next time.